All right, well, week one of the NBA season, the 2021-22 NBA season, is over, which means it's time for our NBA Western Conference strength of schedule power rankings.
The voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's money, you can cash it. For news on LA hoops, come over to Beach Basket. Up to date sports, post game reports, debates and play by play coming straight off the court. The voice of the fan making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Peach Basket. The Peach Basket, coming tune on there. The Peach Basket, where the news begins. We're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the avid fans.
Now, a lot of people I noticed this morning, putting out their week two power rankings. We do it basically like this. The season started on Tuesday. We go through Saturday. That's week one. Makes sense. So right now we're in week two, but we can only take a look back at week one. Seems logical to me. I'm not sure why people are doing it differently. But before we get into detail about week one and how your team looks, I wanted to take a little bit of time talking about power rankings and why we're doing these. I've been doing these power rankings now for about 3 seasons, and I started doing them because I realized a couple things about power rankings. Number one, they kind of suck, but they're also kind of cool. On the cool side, we love to see our team and where they rank based on someone's opinion. It's a feel good. We know that if our team is number 4 at the end of week 6, it really doesn't matter. There's no bearing on it whatsoever, but it's cool. It's nice to see our team rise in the rankings, or, it's nice for us to sometimes freak out, maybe a little when they dip and then come back. So they're cool, but they suck because at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to objective versus subjective. Simply put, to be objective means you don't really care about personal opinion. You just look at facts, right? Whereas being subjective is kind of the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. We're not looking necessarily at the facts or maybe on top of the facts. We're adding our opinion. And that's really been the problem with power rankings, the way I look at them. In the past, one power ranking would take a loss, say a big loss, say, 50-point loss to somebody, a 40-point loss, and they would just drop a team to the bottom of the rankings because of how they lost, not just because of the loss. Sometimes somebody might kind of not like a team, and that team's loss kind of just filters into their thought process. And again, they just lean on opinion more than facts. A W is a W, an L is an L. I think it should stop and end there, right? Anything that's subjective kind of tends to be intangible, whereas something that's subjective is tangible. So we came up with this, the Western Conference objective power rankings. I've called them strength of schedule power rankings in the past. Kind of the same, really. It's really simple. Instead of letting opinion kind of creep into these power rankings, we simply take a look at the wins and losses against the teams. Now, the team's important. The way we've done it, and the way we're going to do it again this season is we're categorizing the team into categories. Now, seasons past, we did 3 categories. This season, we're doing 5. So there's the teams with championship aspirations. There's a quality team that, could make the championship, but maybe just a tier below. Good teams, serviceable teams, and bad teams. Pretty straightforward. You can see the categories and the teams here. For those that are listening, the championship teams at the start of the season, the Lakers and the Suns. Quality teams, the Nuggets and the Jazz. The good teams, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, and the Blazers. The serviceable teams, the Spurs, the Kings, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, and the bad teams, unfortunately, the Rockets and the Thunder. Now, the way it works is pretty straightforward. You beat a team, you get points. Depending on how good a team you beat, you get more points. Now, if you beat a championship team on their home court, that's the maximum points. That's the 19. You see the little emoji there. The reason we call that out is because if you beat a quality team on their home road, on their home court rather, that's called a quality win. Quality wins cost just a little more, or not cost, but actually give you a little bit more. So quality wins are good. We want to look for those. Those bump you up just a little bit. Now, on the other side of that spectrum, if you lose to a bad team on your home court, that's a bad loss. That'll get you 0 points, and that really has an impact on the overall ranking. So we want to take a look at those quality wins and those bad losses as it relates to these power rankings. Everything else kind of just fits on this category between 0 and 19. It's pretty straightforward. And I've included a little bit of the formulas that we use to actually calculate these objective power rankings. But at the end of the day, it's really, really simple. Who won? Who lost? Where did they play? Boom. That's it. No opinion, nothing subjective, pure objective power rankings. So with that as an introduction, here's where the teams rank at the end of week 1, with an understanding that week 1 doesn't much matter. This will all start to kind of filter out over time. But after week 1, the Oklahoma City Thunder come in at 15. They're 0-2. I'm not worried about the Thunder. I think if you're a Thunder fan, you shouldn't worry about your team. They've got a lot of draft picks. They're going to be okay. But this might be a rough season for them. Now, coming in at 14 is a surprising Clippers team. Surprising only because we've got them as a good team. This team should be good. They've got good players. They've kept their core together, but they're off to an 0-2 start, which sees them holding up the rest of the Western Conference. Above them are the LA Lakers. Now, this is interesting because ever since I've been doing these power rankings, both LA teams tend to congregate. They stay really close. This has been true over the last 3 seasons, which I think is kind of interesting. The Lakers are a story in and of themselves. We're not going to get into a lot of it, but they did have a rough start. They did pick up a win on Sunday, but technically for us, that's week 2. So after week 1, 0-2 and struggling. The Pelicans come in at number 12. They're 0-3 and, in danger of I don't know, messing up a pretty good thing. I like the Pelicans. I like their team. I like that core. This season might be make or break it for that team. We'll see how things play out for them. The always steady San Antonio Spurs come in at 11. They always tend to surprise. They've been really always for the last 4 or 5 seasons, kind of right here, right in the middle. Not a great place to be, but we'll see what the Spurs do as time moves on. The Rockets are a bad team. They come in at 10, 1-1. They might be exciting. They're certainly interesting in that they're rebuilding. A lot of these teams at the bottom, with the exception of the 2 LA teams, the Pelicans are in rebuild mode. Number 9, a team that's definitely not rebuilding, but maybe should start thinking about rebuilding around Luka. The Dallas Mavericks come in at 9. The Blazers, still with Damian Lillard, 1-1. Then the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is interesting, right? This is a quality team, not a quality team, rather a championship team. This is they're defending Western Conference champions. They come in at number 7 after a kind of a rocky 1-2 start. Sacramento, good for them. They come in at 1-1. Now, you might see, and I should have called this earlier, the first 2 columns of wins and losses. The third column over, that's QW. That's the quality win. BL, bad loss. We called those out before. You'll notice Oklahoma City had a bad loss. They lost to a bad team on the road or at home, whereas Phoenix and Portland, they both got 1 quality win. Those quality wins bump them up a little bit, which is why you'll see Portland at 1-1, a little bit above Dallas and Houston, also at 1-1 because of that quality win. Minnesota, now this is interesting, right? Minnesota Timberwolves at 2-0 and at number 5. Be great if they can sustain it. Not sure they can. There's always a team every season that starts out really high in the power rankings and then kind of dips. It might be the Timberwolves this season. We'll see. I hope they prove me wrong. Utah Jazz at 2-0, steady under the radar. They're going to be good. They're just going to be good. Memphis comes in at 2-0. Now, Memphis is an interesting team because they're good. And it kind of snuck up on me. Ja Morant is amazing. The team is solid. easily, I don't want to say easily, but I would say most. Okay, I'm gonna stick with easily. This is a playoff team, and they're exciting to watch. Denver comes in at 2-0. Denver and Utah kind of fit the same mold, man. I think they're solid teams, under the radar teams. They're just going to keep doing what they do, doing what they do, doing what they do. They're both going to be there at the end. Coming in at number one after week one, the Golden State Warriors. We had a show not too long ago. We talked about the Warriors. And the Warriors, everybody was talking about how they were going to be back. This is their season. And I really didn't see it. Klay Thompson is going to be back. I don't think he's going to be exactly who he was. So I was curious about why everybody looked at the Golden State Warriors as, the team that's going to be back. But I see it now. Curry looks amazing. They will be getting Klay Thompson back. Jordan Poole has improved. This is a good team. And after week one, they are the Western Conference Objective Power Rankings champions. Congratulations to the Warriors. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll be back on Sunday to recap week 2.